This segment of DelmarvaLife is sponsored by For All Seasons Behavioral Health and Rape Crisis Center.
Holiday lights shine bright on the house, wreaths perched on street lamps. Our towns have their tree lighting and holiday parades, and gift buying has begun. The Delmarva region creates a holiday scene like those in a holiday movie on cable TV, right? But not everyone's script has a happy ending. If you're in that group where this truly is the most wonderful time of the year, that's absolutely wonderful. But for some, this year might be simply that year you just can't find the holiday spirit, and you want to know, is that okay? With us this afternoon is Beth Ann Dorman, President of CEO For All Seasons, with strategies on how to deal with the stress of the holidays. Thanks for joining us, by the way.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
There early.
Yes.
So are there some ways that, name some stressors for us that might start this whole problem?
Well, there's a lot to do, right? So
Right.
we have a lot of extra things on our plates. Family can cause stress.
Yeah.
Managing our children who may not be having the greatest of a holiday, but we might be having a great holiday.
Right.
Traveling can cause stress. Being off of work and not having enough to do, or the kids being out of school. You know, there's a 2-week break this year.
Right,
so for
right.
some parents, there's like a cheering going on, and other parents are thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with my children for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
So all of those things, you know, there may be loss that's been in the family throughout the year. There might be grief that folks are still going through. There may be people who are just struggling with everyday stuff that feels bigger around the holidays.
So is there something that we can do proactively to try to juggle all that?
Yeah, you know, one of the things that is a really great way to approach the holidays is to simply think about and plan. So being able to say, okay, what is ahead of me for the next 6 weeks, sitting down with a calendar and figuring out what you can do and giving yourself permission not to do what doesn't fill you. You know, as you're thinking about family gatherings, maybe you know that 8 hours at a family gathering is just too long. So say, you know what, we're gonna come at this time and we're gonna leave at this time.
Okay, when you put it that way, yeah, I get
Yeah.
that. Here's something that we struggled in our house for the longest time. What about the bills? We have this wonderful holiday, and then for the next year, we worry about the bills.
Yeah.
Suggestions?
Financial management is so important, and you know there's the old phrase keeping up with the Joneses,
Right.
and you know feeling like we have to do so much, and so set a budget. And I think it's okay for us to have a conversation with our family around here's what we have this year. And there are so many things in our community that don't have a price tag associated with them. The gift of time doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
And so being able to look at the activities that are around in our community, our agency does a huge Frosty Holiday Village at the beginning of December. It's free. We usually have 1,500 people that come through in a night. You don't have to pay a thing. You get a family picture taken, you can look at inflatables. Those are the kinds of moments where you can capture time with your family,
Yeah.
and there's not a huge price tag associated with it. There is a real sense of community that's formed and a real sense of connection that sometimes we miss out during the holidays because we're so busy thinking about the things
Right.
instead of the people.
So let me ask you this. After you touched on that, you mentioned earlier, for some people, this might be the first holiday without a loved one.
Yeah.
How do we handle that?
Day by day, and really being able to recognize that we need to give folks the space to be able to go through the holiday how they need to go through it. And so if this is the first holiday where you've lost a loved one or someone else in your family has lost a loved one, really giving ourselves permission to have it be different this year.
Yeah.
And paying attention. You know, if someone is struggling and they've been struggling for weeks instead of a couple of days or months, and you feel like something's really not working, it's an okay opportunity to introduce, you know, maybe it's time to go talk to someone. But recognizing that in the midst of starting a new tradition, maybe there's something that you do to honor the person who has been lost. Maybe there's something that you as a family decide. But really giving someone that space to be able to say, here's what I need, without judgment. That's the thing that's so key and important when it comes to grief, is that we cannot judge how someone else is moving through grief. And just being able to say, I'm here, what do you need? And creating space.
I was going to say, should we make sure that we stay in touch? Hey, I was just thinking about you.
Pick up the phone,
Yeah.
send a text message. You know, I always say when someone passes away and there's a funeral, there's lots of cards, there's lots of flowers. Put it on your calendar for 6 weeks after, for 6 months after, to send a card and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know I'm thinking about you today.
Wonderful suggestions. Beth Ann Dorman, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Wonderful having you.